today, after an extraordinary day of game drives around the Boteti River, one of my best days of game drives ever, I'm heading inland, away from the river. I'm going to explore the hinterland to the salt pans in Makgadikgadi Pans National Park. Those are salt pans created by an ancient lake that dried out. Those pans are the destination of the zebra migration. When the migration comes to this part, what they're looking for are those pans. Around the salt pans, the water concentrates, and the grass growing there gets all that salt and nutrients. And this is the grass that the zebras are looking for. Apparently, the grass up north in Chobe and in the Okavango Delta, it's got a lot of moisture, but it's not as nutritious as this one. So it must make a big difference for them. So they every year initiate hundreds of kilometers migration to come back here. I think it was around 1960 in Botswana they introduced what they called the veterinarian fences, and that was because there were some outbreaks of foot and mouth disease, and when they tried to export meat to Europe didn't want to get meat with that disease, and what they did was build some fences around the country so the animals carrying that disease wouldn't get to the areas where there were cattle. What happened was that those fences were right on the way of different migrations. One of the migrations was the zebra migrations from here to the north. On the way they got to a point where they hit the fence and they were dying by thousands. Same thing happened in the central Kalahari. There was a huge migration of wildebeests. It is expected to be as many as 500,000 wildebeests. Those wildebeest were heading out of the park during the dry season looking for water and pastures, but they hit the fence. They were trying to follow the fence, trying to find a place to go around it, but they couldn't find it, and the last water source was days away, so it was impossible for them to return, and they were dying by thousands at the fence. There is a wonderful book that talks about that. It's called Cry of the Kalahari. Really recommendable if you want to know more about the central Kalahari. It was written in the 60s, and by that time the fence was already built. The authors witnessed the tragedy when the wildebeests hit the fence and they were not able to find a way around it. That was one of the main reasons for the wildebeest migration to stop, for the wildebeest numbers to decrease dramatically, and until they realized some decades later that this was happening, and they removed some of those fences, and the migration some 4 years later started again. So those animals have the roots in their genes, because when those fences were removed they resumed the migration routes, and as you can see, the zebra migration is already established. That is the reason for the zebras to follow this migration, and that's the reason for them to come to the Makgadikgadi Pans, which is where I'm heading now, following this road. There is just a straight road that goes from west to east, and where I haven't seen much wildlife since I left the Boteti River. So you could come here and take this road and think there's nothing here, whilst at the same time on the Boteti River there are thousands of animals waiting for you. So I reached the turn off to Njuka and Tree Island. The tree marks a spot where you have to turn. It's 33 kilometers from Kumaga. This season the road is not bad. It's not even deep sand. Some parts are bit sandy, not too much. Some other parts is hard because it was mud and now it's hard. So the road is not bad.
I don't think that many people come this way. The wheel tracks are very old. I haven't seen any other car the whole morning, and the only tracks that I see look like those left when it was muddy. That is the first group of zebras that I see around this area. I haven't seen animals at all during probably the last 10 kilometers. Well, our ride to Njuka campsite is up there, and Makolwane exit is on the left road. I'm going to Njuka to see how it is, but what I heard is that this campsite is closed. There's not much here. These are the views from Njuka Hills campsite. It is a beautiful place, very solitary.
This is the road that goes from Njuka Hills to Makolwane exit. Makolwane exit is located in the northeast part of the park. This part here is a lot greener than the area around the Boteti River. The problem is that I don't see any permanent water here. I don't see water holes. Of course, there's no river, so even though there is grass, there's not much to drink. So that's probably the reason for the zebras to go to the Boteti River side before they continue north to either Chobe or the Okavango Delta. I thought it would be drier here, and it actually is the other way around. It's kind of green. Can you imagine being here with the migration during the rainy season? It must be something awesome, because it's so flat everywhere. Problem is that the best time to come here to see the migration is also the worst time to come here, because during the rainy season, when it rains, there's water everywhere and there's water on the road. And these roads being so sandy, it all becomes mud and it's very difficult to drive here. And it's a shame, because best time for this nature spectacle is when it's more difficult for you to come here. So even though if you decide to come here through the rainy season because you really want to see the migration on the pans, probably coming two cars together is advisable. I wouldn't try to come here alone. There's nothing in like 40 kilometers around, and I don't know how many people can come here during the rainy season. Seeing nobody comes here when it's a dry season and it's easy to drive. And as you can see, the landscape has changed. It is almost like that on the western side near the Boteti River, and all those open plains and grasslands are gone. Now it's scattered with bushes and trees. And this is the arrival to Makolwane Gate. I went to the Makolwane office to register and to let them know that I was driving to the Pans. So in case that something happened, somebody knew that I was there. The guy that was there was really bored, and he told me that he doesn't see many people through that gate.
Xirexara, written Xirexara or Tiritara, the closest thing I can get to the way he said it. It's 22 kilometers south following this cut line, and it's just an exit gate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow this one to that gate, and from there to a pan.
He said the road is not bad, a bit sandy, but he also said that during the rainy season, the roads here are a nightmare. I asked him if there are animals around here, and he said that there are some, and I said, where do they drink? Because I didn't see any permanent water. He said that there are two pumped water holes. One is 10 kilometers from this gate inside the park, and they pump water, and the other one is deep in the south where the pans are, and that one is pumped by a safari company. So yes, there is water and there are animals, only that the water holes are not close to the road, and if the animals are at the water hole, it's not easy to see them, at least the water hole that is near this gate. The left side is outside the park, and the park is on the right. There is no fence, and there's nothing to prevent the animals to come in and out. I think that the only part of the park where there are fences are the Boteti River and the northern part, which is next to the Mount Tunata Road.
Oh, there's a car coming. You made it all the way here too. Okay, what did you see there? Not much. Did you get to the pan? Tun Tue Tue? A little. So you're heading back? Good luck. These guys were also in Kumaga yesterday. This is where you get following the cut line. If you continue straight, says no entry, probably it's a private concession, hunting or something similar. And if you want to go back inside the park, you have to check the right, which is taking you to this gate, Xirexara entrance gate. Yeah, this is abandoned. There's no one here. Houses, the gate offices, everything is empty and ramshackle.